funding. Canada also has funding. There is UK, there is Australia, there is New Zealand. There are funding opportunities in these countries, and even other European countries that people don't consider. UK or US or Canada or Australia, New Zealand, or any other country. What country is best for me to study in? So there is no one answer to this question, because the answer to this question is specific on the individual. So it's individual specific. This means that it depends on your own specific situation. This would determine the country that is best for you to relocate. And I'll walk us through a number of factors that we should consider when we are trying to answer this question. So the first one is your reason for relocating. Why are you relocating? Are you relocating just because you want to go get a degree and go back to your home country? Or are you relocating for job prospects post-study? Or are you relocating because you want to live permanently in the country where you are going to study? So for some people, the study pathway is a route to immigration, like to relocate permanently. At least for me, that is what it was. And I know that for a lot of people that I've met, it was just a pathway for them to relocate. So you need to be able to answer these questions for you to know what country is best for study. So for instance, people that if your reason to relocate is because you want to live permanently in that country, then your number one country of study should be Canada. Because after you study in Canada, you are entitled to up to 3 years post-study work permit. When your post-study work permit is done, or even while you are still in the process of enjoying your post-study work permit, you can apply for your permanent residency and live there permanently. Then another factor you should consider is your family situation. Do you have a spouse? Do you have a kid? Is your family going with you? And if the answer to this question is yes, your family is going with you, then you should now consider things like, would my spouse be able to work in this country? While you are schooling, you want your spouse to be able to work, to support you. You want a country where your kids are able to go to school. There are some countries where your children are on the waiting list for them to get into school. You don't want it to be in that kind of situation where other children are in school, your kids are home waiting to get into school just because they cannot get in when they should. So if this is the situation, if you have a spouse and you have kids, so you should be looking at countries where they are open to bringing in families. They understand that the family should be together and your family should go with you to support you. So you should be focused on countries that will give your spouse a work permit to be able to work legally in that country. This means like a country like the United States, the kind of visa that your spouse gets does not allow him to work legally. Most of the spouses of international students in the US, they have to work under the table, which is not a position that you want to open your eyes and put yourself into. Or you want your kids to be able to go to school for free. Like for instance, children of international students in Canada go to school for free. This is world-class education. They go to school for free. So this is another factor that you want to consider, your family situation. And then availability of funding is a very important one. Most people go to grad school and they depend on funding to pay their tuition or to pay their way to school, because I tell you, it's really expensive. So if you know that you're going to rely on getting funding, then you need to focus on countries where funding is readily available. There's some countries that funding is not readily available, or they have limited funding, while some countries have a lot of funding. An example is the US. They have a lot of universities and they have a lot of fundings in these universities. So this is a country that you may want to look at for the availability of funding. Canada also has funding. There is UK, there is Australia, there is New Zealand. There are funding opportunities in these countries. And even other European countries that people don't consider, they have funding in these countries as well. So if you are looking for availability of funding, then you should know where to look. So the fourth one is profession post-study. So there are some countries where some industries boom, and there are some countries where some industries don't boom. So that if you are in the IT industry, IT booms everywhere, but there are some countries where they make very good money and it's booming. Like you go to the US, you go to the UK, it's booming there. IT is booming there. So what is your idea, or what's your plan post-study? Are you looking at a place where you want to enjoy a good career and have a good profession and make good money while at it? Then you should look at countries where your profession is booming, and this can also be a factor to consider when you are choosing your country of relocation. Then the last one I'm going to talk about here is sometimes your country of study may be temporary. By that I mean that you are just passing through that country to get to your final destination. I know people that have gone to UK and then they ended up in Canada. The same thing, Sweden and Canada. They ended up in Canada. They will do their masters in Finland and then they end in Canada. They will do their masters in like the US and then they end up in Canada. One thing that is similar across all of these people that I've talked about is that they had a plan. So they knew where they wanted to get to, but sometimes you may have to pass another country to get to your final destination. So all these people had Canada in mind, but I'm sure, but perhaps they struggled. They couldn't go straight to Canada. So they went to another country first, did 1 degree there, studied there, and then they used that country as a pathway to get to Canada. So the most important thing when you are going to a country temporarily is that you should have a plan, your exit plan from that country, so that you are not left there stranded. So now in this video I have talked about the different factors for you to relocate when choosing a country to study. We talk about these factors in detail inside of our masterclass, and we also have a relocation calculator. That is what we coined it as. We coined it as a relocation calculator that will direct you to choose the best country of study for you based on your specific situation. So you're going to list, we have a number of factors, and you're going to list the number of factors, and it will help you to choose the best country for you based on what you have listed as your specific situation. Because like I said, there is no one situation or one case suits all when it comes to the country of relocation for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've learned a thing or two from this video. I would appreciate it if you can share this video. Let us know what you've learned in the comments. Tag somebody, and so that somebody else can learn from this video. Thank you for taking out your time to watch this video, and I'll see you next time.